Hello, welcome back to Sex and Bacon. It's been a minute since I have been to any mic, whether on another show or my own. And today I am here to share what has been going on in my life since. And this one is dedicated to veteran UFC current bare knuckle MMA fighter Chase Sherman. He is out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. um, Trains out of Miami and is the source of my silence and a very profound healing experience. I will give him that. I learned a lot about myself through him, and the short yet very burn to quick or quick to burn whatever you want to call it. um so let's start with the spring of 2024, when Chase Sherman first reached out to me for tantra services, or through my tantra account that I no longer actually have. I had to restart from scratch back in January of this year, and that's how Sex and Bacon, the podcast, was born. Was me losing my modeling and influencer, I guess, tantra account. I'm very repetitive with that, but I'll get on with it. And I do have some nerves arising around telling this, because I gave him so many opportunities, and he still has that opportunity on his own to evolve from his mistakes. Let's put it that way. So where do we begin? Back in 2024, I think it was March, back when he had his last fight in Orlando, Florida, and that's where I was living at the time. He had reached out for services, and somehow, I mean, I wasn't in town or around, but once I did set something up, he ended up canceling like the day before because of not thinking that it was a proper like way to spend his money at the time, which is funny as the story progresses. So by May, I think it was May 28th, from my records of the Airbnb and everything that he had sent me, we met up in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where, I mean, it was just somewhere I was, and he was only about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from there. And so we made our first meeting, and it was something that I had the the beauty to be able to see like what messages I did have from text. I don't have those on Instagram anymore because they're from the old lost account. But he was already pressuring for like free tantric services, saying that he didn't want to be a transaction. So whenever you say that to a woman who is in this line of work and stuff, and you're wanting to connect, that's like saying that you want to pursue being a tantric partner. And that's kind of like wanting a relationship. If you're not wanting to be a transaction, that is unspokenly translated to a relationship or trying for something outside of the box. And I showed up. He was late. He, even though he had so much more time than I did to get ready because I had just driven from Orlando up to Hattiesburg and even got ready at family's house like about an hour away from Hattiesburg. And so that was like an extra 2 hours of driving to this location after like 10-hour fucking drive. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm working tonight or I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my goodness. Okay, hopefully not. I learned that it's a trick if you say like that you're gonna sneeze, that sometimes, or bless you. Anyways, moving on. This night, it was awful. Our first meeting in May of 2024, just awful. In fact, I didn't speak to him or reach out to him until this past year in April of 2026. And that is something the divine had in play. But he was just so in his ego. And I'm a very strong personality. And it's really easy for me to just like shut down. And he took it as me being in my ego, even though it was quite the opposite with how much he was trying to mansplain or humble me or also get free services or what is it, shock value me into proving myself through free services is what he basically did. I gave a very shitty massage. He has this Kali Ma tattoo, which is something that I think drew him to me and my name and my brand at the time. But and it's actually quite hilarious that he chose this goddess to work with because, I mean, if he can come out from this and me exposing his wrongs through his lack of accountability, because that's all I truly wanted was accountability. And now, I mean, he's up for trial. You guys, I am more than happy to hear your feedback on if I'm being too harsh, if you think this guy deserves to be ousted, to be used as an example, because so many women fall into what I'm about to share. And there are so many more vulnerable women that actually like make the steps that feel finalized like I almost did. And so with that experience back in May 2024, the next morning, I mean, I did try to have sex with him. It was just awful. Like, it was just the worst experience. And the sex was awful. And he just was so egotistical and arrogant and egocentric is a better word. And fast forward to, I guess, not fast forward. The next morning, I left. I didn't look back. In fact, the last time or the next time after that, I would check his page. It would be November, December of 2025, and I still had the ick. And this is how I know that this is all a astrological transit. I will like fully invest my life in astrology, especially after this experience and many others. This UFC, ex-UFC, MMA fighter, he is the one I talk about in my last video with the King Consultant. And he is the one who did initially give me his birth chart information and introduced me to the Pattern app. Shout out to them for this healing experience. Because it was amazing to experience him a second time. And we started talking in April of this past year. And like, it all stemmed from me reaching out to him. I had done an MDMA session with a client. And after the MDMA session, I had uh, this playlist in my phone, and I started playing it. And wherever that energy took me, I suddenly like looked at like what the title of the playlist was, and then it said "For You," the number 4, and then the letter U, and it was Chase Sherman, created by Chase Sherman. And so I clicked his profile, and then I followed him on Instagram, and it wasn't even 60 fucking seconds later that he had like messaged me back, because I also liked a few of his posts, messaged him. And within all of those actions, I guess he was already online or got notifications, and he had messaged me instantly back. And so kind of just started like a long distance thing of like getting to know one another. Um sorry, I have a bit of an upper respiratory thing going on right now. Um it may be allergies too, who knows. And reaching out to him, um I've been in this period of relationship longing and a relationship transit where I'm manifesting a divine partner, and reaching out to people like Chase and different people that, I mean, are going to align with my journey and have already aligned with my journey this year. All of them have these very interesting placements with Libra, Aries, Scorpio, Taurus, or Capricorn, and Cancer, which all affect my chart in crazy ways. And I just was willing to give this another shot. And I messaged him and I was like, I don't think that seeing me, I think it was only 5 or 6 months postpartum. And he was, even though he was in the wrong, like I know that now, I very much was very flirty. And I was like, I think I deserve a second chance to, or redo, because it's not fair to judge where I was energetically, or the experience of me. Because I don't have that message anymore. I did delete that. Um, but it was just really flirty, cute. It worked instantly. But a lot of things work in this man. Ladies, if you guys have a lot of money to spend and even get at him in his DMs, I'm sure he will take every. And I am fast forwarding too much. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. I'll get back to that joke. Oh, gosh. Anyways, so April and May pass, and there are some like turbulent communication issues already. He's a hard nut to crack, and that goes in many ways. Like, um, not just emotionally. And so, with knowing what his chart is and not knowing his full background with his childhood, I could put enough pieces of the puzzle together on like what they were connected to, on top of the type of music he had shared, and just like what these zodiac placements and aspects in his chart, their wounded aspects are compared to their healed versions and empowered versions of themselves. And this man and I was at a breaking point that he may have not been aware of. Maybe he was. We didn't actually ever talk about that. But he wasn't opening up at all. Like, it was stagnant. And so I planned within a week, less than a week, maybe 3 days. um, I think it was a Monday that I was like, hey, so I'm actually done like fucking around. How about I book a flight to Miami and we hang out for the night and have a good time and like try to see like where this takes us. And so he asked if I had any party favors, which I was totally hoping that he would ask that because oh my goodness, I skipped a huge part. Whenever I reached out to him, it was after knowing that okay, there's this another app not tied to astrology. It's called Mr. Number, and it's amazing. It is something companions use, sex workers, anyone, models, women, um, women of all types, but they it kind of became the national blacklist for escorts to let people know who was safe and who wasn't safe, who was calling them, who was texting them that we should be on the lookout for. And I reverse number searched this guy's number because I had only found out about this app it was October 2024. And that was, after I was done with Chase and everything. And so I looked this guy's number up and oh my God, what I found was shocking. And it wasn't because it was my same exact experience and it was tiresome and it was this worship king, but turns out it's way more than just a worship king. It's abuse. It's not just being a dom. It's coming from a super fragmented, sadistic place and manipulative place at that. Um, and I'm not sorry for calling you out on this, Chase. I warned you. You even gave me the go ahead by saying, do what you feel you need. And this is what I feel like I need to do. Anyways, with that information, I knew that he looked for party favors, which usually is anything from like cocaine to ecstasy, but I had a feeling it was ecstasy. And so I had MDMA for us to use, and I brought that down to Miami. And the days leading up to it, he was so sweet, so love bomby. And it seemed so different. And he had even offered to pick me up from the airport. So my flight was supposed to land at like 10 a.m. And I was communicating with him, updating him, like the morning that I was flying in June, when we had our MDMA session, like planned. And I'm gonna dive into chem sex and what that is as well in this episode, and why what Chase and I did and what others so often do whenever they are in certain lifestyles and open to stacking substances with a already very addictive act, which is sex, and the bonding that comes with it whenever and the manipulation you're open to and the boundaries that fade. I mean, what he and I did was a very rookie mistake, and I own that. He doesn't own anything. But I own the fact that what we did with one another did create a super reward within seeking one another and then outwardly. Um, and I'll get to that, but it started as a red flag, like before texting, before making the trip, obviously. But whenever I landed, I realized that he hadn't texted once. And um it took over an hour. Um no, it was like a few hours of me waiting there at the airport. But I have friends in South Florida, thankfully, and I had a friend who did pick me up. Thank God. He is my like lifesaver, and we had been friends since like I guess a decade now. And he um he picked me up. At this point, I'm like spiraling because I at this point think that Chase has stood me up. He had every opportunity to like I don't know. He didn't have to say that he was going to pick me up at the airport. He committed to something that he did not need to do, and he never truly took accountability for that action. And because it took so long, and I was already halfway from Fort Lauderdale Airport to Miami Airport, that I had made a post and I doxed him pretty fucking hard. Um, and he called me and he was like saying sorry, like, or like, where are you? Like, I overslept, like, just like really minimizing the toll it had taken on me, or like the damage that it was doing or already done. And he made it seem like, oh, like, I think at one point I hung up and then called back, and then he ended up hanging up, and that really pissed me off because it wasn't getting anywhere. He wasn't saying the right words. He wasn't saying like, "Oh, I'm on my way, like right now, like just shut up." Like he was feeding into it, and then it was hours of me sending voice messages, and he finally sent a text back. He was like, "So, um, I'm willing to wipe the slate clean, and just like let this be water under the bridge, basically. But are you willing to talk about this as an adult?" And that would seem like a green flag. So I called him and we talked it out. And then it was like basically me apologizing more than him and being humbled or put in my place by him somehow. And he said that he would pick up like one of my favorite sub spots from the Spadas. This was, I think, around 1 or 2 p.m., like 4 hours after I had landed. And he said that he was going to hang out with me whenever he picked me up until he had to go train. And every time I had texted him, he had always had like a set training time. And he said that he was going to get there as soon as he's done training, was usually like he trains like from 5 to 7. So that would have been putting him at my doorstep around like 8:30, or it was like 3 p.m. whenever he said he was going to go train. And I assumed that would be 3 to 5, and that was the issue. And then it turned out that it was like the guys didn't get there until like 6:30. And so he was like training until like 8 p.m. And then he didn't get there until like 9:30, almost 10 p.m. This is 12 hours after I land, whenever we're supposed to have all of this quality time. And he also never brought the pizza, or not the pizza, the subs. And I had to order pizza. I made up for it. And this was also a red flag that he never spent a dime. And it's never about money, but what happened after our MDMA session, because what we did was create a very intense connection. I infused the session with tantra. This was like soul bonding. And I gave him an inch. He took a fucking trip from New York to Seattle with it. Like, fuck. I Over the next few weeks, it's called the Afterglow with MDMA. The first week and a half after, he had already told his son about me, which he doesn't have custody over because he can't even take care of himself, let alone a kid, more than just one overnight. And I sound bitter because I gave him 2,500 basically, and that was cash or credit card usage, because he took out a cash advance on one of my credit cards at some point. And I'm trying to, like, I guess I'm skipping a lot of details of how all of this happened, and it's because I make steady income, and I was talking about this and that, and he was getting really jealous because what this and that takes is money, and he called that out as if I wasn't allowed to be happy about like what I made. And I was trying to be optimistic with other things, and this bum, of course, just wanted me to feel bad and send him money instead of actually fix his own issues. And you probably don't know this, but UFC fighters, if they don't, or MMA fighters, professional fighters, if they don't self-manage properly with sponsorships and shit like that, or if your reputation is as shit as his has been, then I guess you don't get as many offers. And so he saw me as like a pot of gold and someone to manipulate, and someone who would also fuck him whenever he wanted. I was, after the MDMA connection we had, it's like we talked about everything. I felt so connected, like I finally cracked him open. And he had even started telling me within the week and a half after the MDMA, about his childhood and all of that. But instead of like using it in a healing manner, he inflicted what he, the hate he has towards his mother and his father on me, and my wallet, on my mind, on my emotions. And 2 weeks after the MDMA experience together, we were talking about living together, or not even 2 full weeks after. And I was making moves and looking into everything, sending him things. We were planning this. And then it rolled over into a business partnership. A week and a half after that, but that same week and a half after that, I had a health issue come up to my awareness that I'm going to have to focus on. And his reaction to that health crisis was the most heartbreaking part, but the most necessary part, because without it, I think I definitely would have moved in with this man. That I know not only gave $2,500 nearly to, and on top of that, it was about 300 to 3,500 that I spent that weekend in Miami. So about 5 to 6 grand in 1 month on this guy, plus other things that I sent him, like that he asked for in the mail, like that he wanted. And I'm not the only woman who has been in this spot. Some women, this is literally their reality. They never stopped at the planning phase like I did. I definitely will take my part in pulling the rug from underneath him, because he did think that he had finally won a wealthy sub who was willing to, or not, wouldn't say wealthy. I am able to share what I make. And when the last thing you want is someone to believe something is for power and control, and they use that the entire time to get more out of you, and you realize that they're not actually like there for you whenever you really, really need them, and they use the power and control line as you having expectations whenever your expectations are just high standards and your boundaries. And they are trying to shake and shatter them on top of a health crisis. I am blessed to have something that may affect my health in the long run wake me up to realizing that a man like that is not the man that I would want at my bedside whenever I'm in hospice or this or that. Like, he's not a man that anyone should actually want. He's a good time, but he's not emotionally capable of giving anything. He is only capable of taking, and that doesn't even out for anyone. And if I hadn't already been sick, I probably would have ended up sick with the amount of overgiving and making up for what he isn't bringing to the table. And I cherish what I experienced, the energy that we both shared. And I told him that. And I'm not perfect. I definitely sent hundreds, if not near 1,000 texts of begging for accountability on why he chose to utilize my finances after he explicitly told me that he would no longer utilize my finances. Only hours after a fight of me feeling like I was being used, and him saying that I don't want you to feel used, and instead choosing to act in a way that further used me during a time that you just need someone to like be a shoulder. And it does come down to compatibility and emotional maturity and capacity and awareness, and not projecting wounds onto someone else like he does, and if expecting everyone to be accountable except for him solely. And that is a beast in itself. That is an avoidant attachment, like narcissistic almost, whenever you deflect so much onto others that you never see yourself as the issue. And this affected not only me, someone newish in his life, the person he cash advanced credit card, my money to from my credit card, happened to be someone he knew for 27 years. And I'm going to shout out to you, Darius Brown. You can come at me all you want, but I did reverse and dispute that charge for a reason, because it was fraud. And I hope it does affect your 16 years of marriage, because I couldn't imagine finding out that my husband chose to act, husband of 16 years, chose to act and reach out to someone that my friend of 27 years sent me a screenshot of their number and saying that I was going to dispute the charge as fraud without the whole backstory, and taking the friend of 27 years, Chase Sherman, his back, and then reaching out to me, bullying me for that money back. I sent him half. That may have been my mistake and me crumbling, but like, and I almost forgot to mention the Instagram influencer model who, oh, she is such a gem. I won't be mentioning her name or anything, but she is one of the followers on was on his Instagram and Apple Music as well. They follow each other back on Apple Music on his Chase Sherman 66 profile. And this is also how I was able to like feel validated in what I did and how I was acting towards my finances the week that I found out about my illness, or my health. And reaching out to her, she has been the grounding force. And I did send the hey girly like DM and the screenshots of us moving in together, planning to move in together, and all of the money I had sent, and told her all of the backstory, basically saved her from the experience, that repeating an experience that she could feel the danger and the chemistry behind, but she couldn't put a name to it. And so I lived that out for her. And through him sending me playlist and trying to soothe whatever, just by only sending a playlist and like maybe a 3-word text, to get through my day on like processing my health. Meanwhile, I've sent him, so much money. Oh God, there is a business for this man. And I'm pretty sure it's called romance fraud. Oh, anyways, let me get to it. She is the reason why I feel so validated in sharing Darius Brown's info, who is also out in Ocean Springs. 27 years of friendship, he said Chase Sherman ruined. I don't know if that's true or not, but it definitely is probably true after this, because I hope your wife hears this, Darius, and knows that even after I told you about the entire backstory, even after I told you about my health, and even after you knew that it was a fraud transaction. You still chose to accept my money. And that's fucked. That is your karma, not mine. And Chase, that's also your karma, not mine. And thank you to the beautiful, I wish I could say your name, Goddess Dawn in Miami, who shared her version of, she used everything from rapey vibes to the pressure to bizarre, unhinged behavior, or to describe Chase Sherman's behavior in all of this. But that is all. And who knows, may add extra to another video if I really feel like there's anything extra. But to those ladies who have been through this, are going through this, there is still a way out if you have already moved in, because I feel like that was my saving grace. It would have been so much harder, but and it never gets better. It never fucking gets better. If you think it's going to get better, if you think they're going to take care of you, if you think he's going to provide for you, he's not. He will go and fuck the entire world on your dime, because that's also where I truly believe the money that I sent him was starting to go, was other women, companions, paying for him to do this and that, while we still worked out our long distance relationship up until we planned to move in together in September of this year. But that's not happening. And Chase Sherman, I hope all of your UFC bros hear this, your MMA bros, your bare knuckle bros, the community, the fans that I've told thus far, the men in my life happen to be huge fans of the sport, and some of them even knew of you. And they're just like, wow, why do people have to be certain ways, is what they say. And as I told you, you made it seem so hard to be kind. And through my kindness, I was hoping to make things different. But then you started to taint that kindness with the poisonous thoughts and words that you had towards what I invested in you. Because I did believe in you. But I don't believe in the person that you currently are. I believe in a version of you that does not exist right now. And I'm not going to put in that effort, that love and energy, not whenever it's time for me to receive that. It's time for me to receive that in what could be a shorter time than I wanted here. And thank God, potential death is what opened my eyes to something that I would have loved for my health to not open my eyes in this manner. I wanted to keep the love goggles on. And this is for those women who are choosing that. He will never change. No one will ever change. Not Chase. He will never change for you. As long as you are taking it, he has no purpose to change. You have to leave. You have to cut ties. Take back your power. Take back your finances, especially for the women who are financially supporting someone. Oh my God. I mean, like I said, nearing $6,000 between the experiences and seeing him and the money that he was able to pocket. Much love and clear guidance, I hope, finds everyone in their own situations. Peace and love, and I don't know. Not really. Anger and peace and love towards yourself, but fucking be angry with these men. Be fucking vicious. Be verbally abusive. Fuck what your therapist says, because the only way I was able to get out of what I got out of was by being such a repulsive force of nature with my own words and thoughts towards the situation that the man probably could never get it up, even with Cialis around me again. And that's another thing. He can't get it up without Cialis. And he can't connect without MDMA. Oh, what a poor man. Not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, a broken fucking man. But I know there's a few of y'all who are on the pick-me level that I was on and would love to like have a fixer-upper. If you're a millionaire, go at it. He's looking for it. He needs it. He needs a mama. And that's this episode of Sex and Bacon.